It is day number 17 of Vlogmas, and it's time to get myself a little bit annoyed about musicals that I've not been able to see. Hi everyone, my name is Chloe, welcome back to my channel, thank you for being here today. Today's video is a Vlogmas video. I am posting a new video every day in December up to and including Christmas Day. I'm doing a mixture of bookish and stagey content, and today we are back on the musicals hype, and I'm going to be talking about some shows that I have not been able to see for various different reasons, and I am a little bit upset about it. Like, these are all ones that some of these hopefully I will get to see at some point. Some of them I may have missed out on them now, and yeah, basically I get to see a lot of shows, but there are plenty out there that I don't get to see as well, because like there's just a lot of shows in general, and like logistics plays a big part of it. So these are the ones that sadly I have not been able to tick off my bucket list yet. So I've broken this into two sections. So we're going to start off with ones that there is still a chance that I could see some of these, mostly because they are ones that are on Broadway and they could potentially do a transfer. I could potentially go over to New York at some point and see some shows, possibly next year if we actually get around to booking something. But some of these shows will have already ended on Broadway, which is very sad. But you never know when a transfer is going to happen. So I still live in hope that I will get to see these. But as of right now, these are the Broadway ones from like the last year or so that I would love to see and have not been able to. So there's no real rhyme or reason to this list. I just like literally put a list down last night of which ones I was like, oh, I wish I would have seen that. Some of them it is that I've never seen the show before at all. Some of them it is that I wanted to see like a particular production or a particular cast. That is what this first one is. So the first one is Into the Woods. Recently there has been like a concert style version of it on Broadway. It's had some fantastic cast. It's like the cast has been rotating quite quickly because it wasn't designed to be like a regular Broadway show where you get like a year's contract or whatever. It started as a concert version just for a couple of nights, and then it transferred over to an actual Broadway theatre, but I believe it is going to close very, very soon. But the names they've had in it so far, like Sarah Bareilles has been in it, Gavin Creel's been in it, Philippa Sue was in it, Krista Rodriguez is in it. Like, they've had so many good people in this cast, and I would have loved to have seen like any combination of it. I've heard nothing but good things about this production, and there is actually a cast recording of it, which I very, very much enjoy. I think if I ever want to listen to Into the Woods, I probably will reach for this new cast recording because it sounds so good. Then we have one that actually started in the UK, then moved to off-Broadway, I think, and is now on Broadway. And the Broadway version is one that I know, it's the cast recording I listened to, and that version hasn't like come back over to the UK yet, but we live in hope that one day it will. When I say we, I'm including Meg in this because she is the one that made me listen to the show, and I believe it is actually like her favourite musical. She just hasn't been able to see it on stage yet, and that is Hadestown, which is a Greek mythology retelling. It's about Orpheus and Eurydice. It's also got Hades and Persephone in there as well, and the music in this is just so good. And again, it's one that I would have liked to have seen with like a particular cast. Like, I would have loved to have seen the original cast, and slowly but surely they are all starting to leave. Like, Andrea Shields has already left as Hermes, and Patrick Page is leaving as Hades soon, and I am just hoping I can get over to New York before Eva Noble Lozada leaves as Eurydice, because she is so good. I did see her in Miss Saigon and Les Mis, but I would love to see her in Hadestown because I feel like Eurydice is a role where I'm going to be like, oh yes, you are spectacular. Then we have one that is a little bit different. It's one that I can't see because it's a particular cast that I would have wanted to have seen, and that cast is not in it anymore. It is also one that I have actually seen a UK production of recently with a cast that I really liked, but I'm still very sad that I did not see the US cast. I am talking about Moulin Rouge. I would have loved to have seen the original Broadway cast. In particular, I would have loved to have seen Aaron Tveit as Christian. I would also really have loved to see Danny Bernstein as Zidler, but like really, we know I wanted to see Aaron Tveit. I wanted to see the El Tango de Roxana up in person. Like, I'm still bitter that I didn't get to see that, but at least Jamie Moscato got cast in London, and I got to see his version of Christian. So like, there's been some redemption, but I'm still not over the fact that I didn't see the original Broadway cast. This is editing Chloe jumping in because I feel like I need to say something about the last two shows that I spoke about. If you've been keeping up with my Vlogmas videos, you probably know what I'm going to say, but basically I pre-filmed a lot of these videos at the end of November, beginning of December. This is one that I pre-filmed. I think it's been a couple of weeks now since I filmed it, and in those last 2 weeks a few things have happened. First thing that happened was that Aaron Tveit got announced to be coming back into Moulin Rouge for 12 weeks from January to April, which means that obviously there is more chance to be able to go and see him. The second thing that happened is that me and Meg decided that we were going to move up our planned trip to New York next year, because we were planning on going in May, and we decided to move it up so that we could go and see Aaron Tveit in Moulin Rouge. the third thing that happened is that we actually booked the holiday this week. So although this is still like kind of true, because I'm still a little bit upset that I haven't been able to see like the complete original cast of Moulin Rouge, because there's plenty of people other than Aaron Tveit that I wanted to see. It is now very, very likely that I will see the Opt-Up in El Tango de Roxanne live. I mean, we haven't booked the tickets for the show yet, but that is the next thing we need to book. It should be done this weekend. Obviously, he needs to actually be on the day that we go, and who knows if he's going to do the Opt-Up, but fingers crossed it all happens. Also, that one obviously ties into Hadestown as well, because that is the other show that we're going to be booking to go and see while we are there. We're hoping to see more than just 2 shows, but we are like for sure booking Moulin Rouge and Hadestown. Hadestown at the minute of the sort of like 5 main characters. So you've got Orpheus, Eurydice, Persephone, Hades, and Hermes. Of those 5, there are 2 of the original cast members still left. It is Eva Noble Zarda, as I've spoke about earlier, and Reeve Carney. Patrick Page is leaving possibly this weekend, actually, as I'm editing this, but he's leaving in December anyway. I don't think he's left yet. Sorry, I am rambling. But as of right now, the 2 that are still left in it, there is no announcement that they're going to leave. They just need to stay till the beginning of February, and hopefully both be on the day that we go and see it. So yeah, with both of these shows, I'm going to be able to see part of the original cast, so it's partly happening, but also like not completely. So they still belong on this list, kind of. But I just thought I would give you that update. Then we have another one that I have actually seen some UK productions, but there's just been a recent US production that I would have liked to have seen various different casts of, because it's another one where it's just had some really exciting casts in it, and that is the recent version of Little Shop of Horrors. Some of the casts that I would have wanted to have seen have already left it. So basically in this production so far, we've had Jonathan Groff as Seymour, we've had Jeremy Jordan as Seymour, and we've had Rob McClure as Seymour as well, and I love all 3 of those, so I would have liked to have seen any of those as Seymour. And also Christian Bale played the dentist, and that would have been very, very fun to see. Luckily I have seen Little Shop of Horrors because it is one of my favourite musicals ever, but this production just sounds very, very good. And again, sad that I didn't get to see it, because it was one that was on my list to potentially go and see when I was supposed to go to New York a couple of years ago, because it was one that started like just before the pandemic, and yeah, sadly I did not get to go and see it because pandemic happened. We then have got a new show that is actually going to close soon, so I probably won't get a chance to see it now, because I'm not sure if this one will transfer over to the UK. I feel like partly because of what it's about, like you would have to make some changes to it to bring it to the UK. The musical is A Strange Loop. It won quite a lot of Tony Awards this year, and it was seeing it at the Tonys that made me go, actually I'm really interested in this. I'd heard good things about it before, but seeing it on there I was like, oh, this sounds like a good show. But basically one of the ways that they advertise this is about being big, black, queer and American, and it's very much set on Broadway. It's about a guy called Usher who's working as an usher at the Lion King on Broadway, and it's just about him being this black, queer, plus size person living in that world. And I don't know if they'll bring that over to the UK, because obviously it's very like specific to Broadway, and I don't know if they'll want to transfer that over, but if they did I will happily go and see it, because everything I have seen of it so far I really, really like. Speaking of transfers to the UK, this one definitely could transfer, and can we do it immediately please? It is Beetlejuice. I've had this cast recording like in my general circulation of things to listen to since it first came out. I really, really love it. Beetlejuice the film is one of my favourite films, and again everything I've seen of like the staging of this show just looks spectacular, and I would love for them to bring it over here. It was one that I actually wouldn't have been able to see when I was supposed to go to New York, because it closed so that Hugh Jackman could bring The Music Man into the Winter Garden Theatre where it was playing at the time, and then it ended up reopening post-pandemic because it was actually one of the shows that was doing well and making a profit, so they brought it in to try and like get money in. But I believe one of the issues with it is that it does really well with tourists, but then when it's not like a touristy time of year, the numbers go down, so it's just not sustainable. So it's closing again soon, which is sad, because it means that if I do go over to New York next year, I again will miss it, which is really irritating. I do think it could do really well over here though. Like it feels like the type of show that a British audience would really enjoy, and like even if it only comes over for a short period of time, that is fine, because I will buy tickets for like opening night if I need to. Like I just want to see it. And then we have a couple more limited runs that is like about the specifics of the cast that are involved in these particular performances. So recently we had a production of Parade, which is a show that I don't know too much about, but I have liked things from like the writer of the show before, so it's one that I would like to listen to more of. But also I heard really, really good things about this particular production, and this production had Ben Platt in it as well. It was another person that I would like to see on stage at some point. Like I actually really like Ben Platt. I think he was a really good Evan in Dear Evan Hansen. on Broadway. I think he should not really have been cast in the film, but I do understand why they did it. I just don't think it really worked. But I would love to see him on stage in something, because seeing how much he committed to the role of Evan Hansen, I would love to like actually watch him do a live performance at some point. And like I said, this production is just one that really intrigued me, and I'm sad that I didn't get to see it because it was only on for a couple of weeks, I think. And then speaking of something that is only on for a very short period of time, this one has just started, and I think it's on until January, and it is a new production of Merrily We Roll Along. And this has got a great cast. The main reason I would like to go is that it's got Jonathan Groff and Daniel Radcliffe in it. Now, I've seen both of these actors on stage before. I saw Jonathan Groff in a staged concert version of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying at the South Bank Centre. I had no interest in that musical. I just wanted to see Jonathan Groff on stage, and he did not disappoint. And then I've seen Daniel Radcliffe in plays, but I've not seen him when he's done a musical, because he's done a couple now. He was also actually in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying when it was on Broadway. And I really like Dan Radcliffe as an actor. I think he's a really interesting actor to watch. And he's particularly good to watch on stage. He's a very high energy person, and it comes across really well in a live performance. And I would love to see how that converts into a musical. So this is another one that I am very sad that I'm not able to see, because when they announced it was like coming on for a limited time, I'm like, oh, I'm planning on going to New York next year. Please be like during that time slot I'm there. And it's like, no, it's like a 2-month window, and it's about 4 months before you're planning on going, which is very sad. Those are all the ones that I haven't been able to see because Broadway, like, there is a lot more travel involved there. We do then also have the ones that have been on in London or are about to be on in London that I'm not going to get the chance to go and see, and that saddens me even more somehow, because, like, I could very easily get to those places, and I just haven't been able to for various different reasons. So the first one is probably the one that upsets me the most, and it is Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening is one of my favourite shows of all time. I did do a video earlier on in the month talking about what my favourite musicals are, and this is in my top 10. Like, I love it so much, and I've never been able to see a production of it because there haven't been that many professional productions in the UK, and then even like the amateur ones have been in places that haven't been like easiest for me to get to. So sadly, all I have at the minute is cast recording and bootlegs, which is not like the best way to view this show at all. And then they did a version at the Almeida earlier on this year, which I heard like really good things about, but it was on at a time where I wasn't sure if I was able to get down to London to go and see it. And then when I did realise that I probably could go and see it, the tickets had already sold out, and yeah, sadly I did not get to go and see it. And and like I said, I heard really good things about it, and the Almeida has had things transfer over to the West End before, so I'm living in hope that eventually they will transfer it over, or maybe even just do another run at the Almeida. Like, if they can just do some sort of run of this show, I will be very happy, and I will be buying tickets immediately regardless of if I think I'm going to be able to get there or not. Next up, we have a concert version where actually, like, I half am disappointed I'm not getting to see it and half not. It's actually happening tomorrow as I'm filming this video, and I think part of the reason why I'm disappointed that I'm not getting to go and see it is I know people who are going to go and see it, so it's like the FOMO side of it as well. But it is A Light in the Piazza, which I have actually already seen. I saw it when it was on at the South Bank Centre a couple of years ago, and it had Dove Cameron in it. She of like Disney fame, and now she's singing songs that are like all over TikTok. And then it had an actor called Rob Houchen playing like the main sort of male love interest, and I really love Rob Houchen. I'd seen him in Les Mis before, and I loved his version of this character. I actually did really enjoy the show for the cast that was involved. I wasn't overly fussed by like the show itself, but I really liked the casting. So I was like, okay, I've seen it now, I don't need to see it again. And then now there is this concert that's happening tomorrow night, as I said, as I'm filming this. It's at the Alexandra Palace, and the character that Rob Houchen played has been played by Jordan Lou Gage, who is an actor that I really like. And at first I was like, no, I still don't need to see it. You've seen this show before and you didn't love it that much, you don't need to see it. But then, like I said, I know people that are going to go and see it. Like, Meg is one of the people that's going to go and see it, and part of me's just like, oh, but I really wish I could, but it's on a Sunday night and I don't have like the holiday days to be able to book the Monday off work to like travel back from seeing it. So sadly I will not be going to see that one, but at least I have seen a version of it that I enjoyed for the cast, and I will be seeing Jordan Luke Gage and other things next year because I've got tickets to Bonnie and Clyde already booked. We're fine. Then we have another concert that was a similar thing, like I just couldn't get the time off work, because they've been doing a lot of these this year where they've been doing concerts on a Sunday night, and then it's just difficult with the travel to get back to work for a Monday. And this is another one actually that Meg did get to go and see and I didn't. It's a show called Treason, which is all about the gunpowder plot, and again this one was really mainly for the casting is why I wanted to see it. So it had Carrie Hope Fletcher and Bradley Jaden in it, both actors that I absolutely adore. I've seen them in other things before. I've seen them both in Les Mis multiple times, and I've heard good things about this musical in general. It does seem like this is a musical that they are progressing to have a bigger run in the future. It had like a concept album before. It's now done this concert, and they are going to release an album of the concert version as well. It just feels like they're trying to like keep people talking about it. So I feel like eventually they are going to announce a run, whether that's at a small venue or if they are just going to go like straight out and do a bigger run of it. But hopefully they'll be able to bring some of the cast from the concert version. I mean, Bradley Jaden left Les Mis recently and nothing has been announced of what he's going into, so if they want to cast him, that would be fantastic. But yeah, I'm hopeful that eventually I'll be able to see a production of it. I'm just sad that I didn't get to see that concert. Another one along the same lines, because it also actually featured Carrie Hope Fletcher, was the Witches of Eastwick concert that happened earlier on this year. This is a show that I actually did have a chance to see many years ago because it toured and came to Sheffield, and my mum and my sister went to see it, but I didn't really have any interest in it at the time. But then it was, again, sort of the cast of this concert that I wanted to see, particularly with Carrie Hope Fletcher being in it. It also had Maria Friedman in it, who is someone that I like grew up watching as a narrator on the Joseph video that I used to have when I was a kid. And yeah, I'm a bit sad that I didn't get to go and see that version of it because it just looked like a good evening all round. But I'm not like under any desperate need to go and see like that show particularly, unless it was like an amazing cast again. Then we have one that I have actually seen this show, and I've actually seen like this production of this show, but I saw it after a cast change, and there's been 2 casts previously, and I would have liked to have seen both of them because this show was so good, and from what I've heard, every cast has brought something quite unique to it, and I would just love to see what other people did with it. So the show is Cabaret. I have seen it with the cast that's in it right now, and names just keep going from my head when I come to film these videos, but the cast that's in it currently are the 2 main actors. One of them is from It's a Sin and one of them's from Orange is the New Black, but I cannot remember the names to save my life. I'm very, very sorry. But I enjoyed both of them in their roles. But the original London cast with Eddie Redmayne and Jessie Buckley, I would have loved to have seen what they did with it. And then also the in-between one as well with Frothy and Amy Lennox. Like, I've seen both of those in other roles before, and I think they would have been very interesting. So yeah, like, while I'm happy that I've seen the show, I would have loved to have seen the different casts and sort of been able to compare and contrast them a little bit. Then we have one that is actually still on at the minute, but I know I'm not going to get a chance to go and see it. But again, I'm hoping that it's one that ends up getting a bigger run because the reviews for it have been really, really good, and that is My Neighbor Totoro. So this is a new stage show that has just started. It's on at the Barbican at the minute, but like I said, the reviews have been very good and it's selling very, very well, so I'm hoping that we will get like a bigger run of it somewhere. And Totoro is one of the only Studio Ghibli films that I've actually watched, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm just intrigued to see how they bring that story onto the stage. They've not released that many production pictures of it because I think they want to kind of keep you in suspense. I'm guessing there's a lot of puppets involved, but I just think it'll be really interesting to see on stage. And then last but not least, we're changing it up a little bit. We've got a play rather than a musical. It's a play with a name that was always a little bit awkward when I was talking to my mum about wanting to see the show, because this play is called Cock. It was on in London over the summer. It had Jonathan Bailey, and it was originally supposed to have Taron Egerton in it, but then he had to leave the production not too far into the run. But this was a play that I heard like good reviews of anyway, and then also I wanted to see it particularly for Jonathan Bailey because I'd seen him in Company before and I really, really loved him in that. I also really like him in Bridgerton. I'm excited to see him as Fiyero in the new Wicked film, and yeah, it was one that I tried to get tickets for, but the tickets were so expensive. They were like ridiculous amounts of expensive. And I'm actually going to see a show at the same theatre next year, and they didn't tell you what the prices were like until just before they went on sale, and I was terrified that like that was just the price that this theatre charged for tickets and that they were going to be that much. But it's a musical that I'm desperate to see, and I'm like, I will pay whatever I need to pay. And then the next to normal tickets went on sale and they were like really, really cheap. I'm like, well, why were you charging like 5 times as much for that play last year then? Like, it's ridiculous. I know it's because it had big names in it and it's a not-for-profit theatre, so they need to like do whatever they can to bring the money in to keep the theatre running. But still, I was just like, I really wanted to see this, and I could have got tickets if I was willing to pay like £200 for them, and I just wasn't doing it. They did have some cheaper ones, but obviously they all sold out very, very quickly, so sadly I did not manage to go and see that one. So that is all of the shows that I can think of at the minute that I am either living in hope I will actually be able to see, or I'm just gonna have to cut my losses because they're productions that don't exist anymore, and that makes me sad. But never mind, I can't go and see them all. I've been very lucky to see some very amazing performances and productions this year, so it's fine if every so often I have to miss a couple of them. But that is everything. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below, and I will see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Bye.